Take it down.
I'm not loving 2 energy switch and Pheasant Dipty prize for Nina, though. Those are not ideal prizes, but we are going to have a Regidrago mirror match here, if I remember these decks correctly.
That is absolutely correct. We haven't talked about the decks yet. Both these players, James Cox just coming off a win on stream here. We have seen his deck in full action. Is playing against Nina, who seems to be going first, if I saw that correctly. So won the coin flip there. Potentially wants to go first immediately, set up her board. We see an Ogerpon Teal Mask hit the field. We see energy in hand, gets to discard 1 grass, but this is probably the most typical prize search coming first, but the Earthen Vessel will potentially get a grass and a fire energy out. It's the same as before. You see how, even at this young age, how experienced and how versatile, how quick they are with this deck search, but getting all the pieces to the front, making sure that they have them ready, or more so check that they're in the deck because they have no sight of their own prizes. So making sure all cards required are in here, and then potentially going back into the deck to get out the 2 energies. Early on, what do we want to see in the mirror? You want to have your Ogerpon ready. You want to set at least 1 Regidrago. Your opponent is not really in a position where they can take out a knockout on their first turn, so 1 Regidrago early on could be enough, but if you have a second one, even better.
Yeah, even better, of course. There is a thing that I believe it was Isaiah Bradner did at the World Championships, where you get your Kyurem copying that attack, and you just Triforce twice, which does 220 to all of your opponent's Pokemon, and it won't get any Regidrago V-Star, but it will get any Regidrago V that haven't V-Starred. It will get any Teal Mask Ogerpon, Pheasant Dipty, and, you know, things like Mew, if that's on the bench, or whatever it might be. So that is an option. It's a risky one. You've got to discard all your energy when you attack with Kyurem, but if you can pull it off, that could be a route to victory. I just want to finish what I was saying about Nina at the beginning of the game. She was 18th in Dortmund. It was a top 32, but it was 18th, very close to top 16. That was her first regional in Masters. This is her second regional in Masters, and we've already got an asymmetrical top cup.
But I think I was speaking a little bit too soon there with the optimal play in your first turn. Yes, getting the Regidrago out. I spoke way too soon. There's only 1 Ogerpon. Yes, the ability got you an extra card of the deck, but it was a research that you can't use yet. So there's no Regidrago, so you're basically 1 turn behind. And let me think about this. How many energy, grass energy, would you need on that Ogerpon to start taking knockouts? You need loaded up opponent, like opposing Pokemon as well. So that's going to be really hard. It's better to set up an attacker than none, but that's not really what to go for in this match here.
I mean, it depends. I think the number is like 6 for a Pheasant Dipty, 7 for a Regidrago V, I think 9 for a Regidrago V-Star. But I think we can really just settle it by saying a lot.
Yes.
Or if we want to be slightly less generous, too many.
Yeah, because your opponent won't play into that and give you extra energies on their Regidrago here. For example, you said 6, but yeah, you won't really get, or 7, you won't really get there unless your opponent would help you massively, but they have no reason to charge up their Regidrago this early on so heavily. So yeah, that's probably not what we're going to see here, and it's really sad for that, like going first but not having any Regidrago in play.
Yeah, the only saving grace is you do have energy switch, so the theory is you stash the energy on now, you energy switch them later. But remember, 2 of Nina's 4 energy switch are in the prizes, so it's not just that she's got energy in the wrong place, it's that she's got half of her energy switch in the prizes. Now we do see, we've had to discard a Regidrago V-Star to go and get a Dragapult. And as a side note, while we got a second, there is an actual Dragapult deck in top 8. Not just Dragapult in Regidrago, an actual Dragapult. I feel like one of the casters, can't remember who it was, but one really clever, handsome caster did say that there was going to be Dragapult doing well this weekend. Well, yeah, we'll have to check later who that was.
We'll check later, but we will have it. We'll give you that point for sure. You've called that out quite well there. But let's focus on this game right now with the Regidrago V-Star mirror here. We see Squawkabilly hit the bench. You only really bench it if you want to use that ability as well. So that's something we might see here. You talked about the Dragapult hitting the hand there with the Ultra Ball, if that was correct.
And then a Professor's Research popped it in the discard.
So it's already discarded. There's another. So some Dragons already on the discard pile. I think that's a Regidrago V-Star already.
That's the V-Star we got rid of with the Ultra Ball early on, which was not ideal. But look, we've got a Regidrago V on the bench with a Grass Energy. We've got a Regidrago V on the bench with a Fire Energy. So not a terrible start, you know. James went second here, but he's going to get the first Regidrago V-Star, and that is huge. Nina, again, going straight for a Grass Energy onto the Teal Mask Ogerpon. Does have an Iron-O.
And an Ultra Ball in hand.
So at least has some options for this turn.
Yeah, well, I mean, this has to be a Regidrago on to start setting that up. Yeah, picking that out, and then we have the Iono to draw into more cards. Yeah, a little bit behind, especially in this mirror. You probably want to go 2-2-2 on your prizes as well, and not being able to have a strong attack ready here right now might put you a little bit behind, and it's not easy to come back in these heavy hitters 2-2-2 prize races.
The only saving grace is that it's actually got 210 HP, so the usual attack that James will be trying to copy is that Dragapult, which would actually be, so if you attack with Teal Mask Ogerpon, James gets the Regidrago V-Star in the active. The Dragapult attack only does 200, so you would need something more to actually go and get that KO.
Oh, there's actually Fire Energy hitting that Ogerpon as well for a manual attachment here. So not even trying to set up that Regidrago for future turns just yet, and goes heavy on there. 4 energies, I think that's 120 plus 30, it's 150.
Yep.
I mean, it can spread that damage for sure, and then maybe later a Triforce can pick that knockout. But yeah, it's interesting that she chooses that route. We have the Cleffa in the active position, free retreat, so that won't be a problem to get your Ogerpon in the active position and attack. And then that is some damage that will stick on that Ogerpon for sure.
There's even an argument here to not attack, because you're probably not going to bench any other single prize Pokemon in this game unless you go for your 1-1 knockdown line, or maybe a Radiant Charizard way down the line. So there's even an argument here to just set up as well as you can, draw cards with Cleffa, except that you're giving up that one prize, which is going to be going at some point during the game anyway. But no, it does look like we are going to go for the attack with the Teal Mask Ogerpon. 150 damage. It's not amazing, but you know what it does do? Leaves Teal Mask Ogerpon on 60 HP remaining. How many damage counters do you drop with Dragapult?
60, exactly. Very good math there, actually. So it does work out. The 150 plus 60, very well recognized there. Well, as a future setup, I was thinking about the Triforce. That would have been enough for sure. But this even better. You can potentially boss that Squawkabilly. And 200 and a 60 on the bench, 4 prizes one turn, and that would be one way to get back into this prize race.
Yeah, I mean, this is not how Nina wants to play the deck, let's be perfectly clear. But she has at least set up an easy KO with the residual damage counters from the Dragapult, which is really the best she could have done at this point. Here comes an Ultra Ball for James, presumably, yeah, for a Regidrago V-Star, because we didn't have one of them established yet. So that's going to go down there quite nicely. And then we're going to have a quick decision as to where we are going.
I'm looking for some energy switches as well, but
yes,
even though they started with like 2 Regidrago, 1 energy each, they will need some extra energy switches to set up these Pokemon. We have, Super Rod putting both. There was the Pheasantipity and another Regidrago V-Star, I believe, going back into the deck. Can be important for the late game, especially once KOs have been taken. And of course, you want to have access to your second Regidrago V-Star as well.
Oh, and here we see Mew restart, drawing free cards, emptying out the hand nicely there. We get a fresh free cards. What are we going to see? Energy, Teal Mask, Ogerpon, and I believe it was a Nest Ball. Yes, so those are the free cards we've got. You know what we don't have?
No energy switch.
No energy switch, unfortunately, and we don't have any grass energy either. Could it be time for the V-Star power? Is it too early? It's not too early, Barish.
It's never too early if you want to get your attacks going here. We actually see 7 cards being discarded from the top of your deck. I see an energy switch actually as one of them, so that could be huge. But we said, what was the energy situation in hand? Because
one fire, and you need 2 grass.
Correct. So that doesn't happen necessarily either. We have the Professor's Research, but
I mean, that is rough. If you're using Regidrago V-Star, what you really want to be doing is picking the best 2 cards out of your discard pile and going, this is perfect. What you don't want to be doing is going, oh, it's not got what I want. Guess I'll get a Professor's Research and hope. That is not how we're supposed to play this.
And you see how James has picked up the pace here. It's going so fast through his deck, through his cards. Another Ultra Ball slammed down. 2 cards discarded, another Regidrago V-Star in play now, both active or both ready basically. They're just missing their energies. And it was the Ultra Ball and Professor's Research being picked up there. So you'll probably see a perfect hand played down and then a Research Love to see 0 hand into 7 with that Professor's research. We have now fire and grass. We need one more grass energy and an energy switch. I don't see the grass energy, so even an energy switch at this point wouldn't really help.
No, because you could only just switch the fire over, and it is 2 grass and 1 fire. Of course, we generally play more grass in the deck because it fuels Teal Mask Ogre, but sometimes you just hit the fire instead of the grass anyway. It's not ideal. Temple of Sinnoh comes down, but it's not really doing very much, and James is passing over to Nina. And actually, with 2, now this is asking a lot, I'm going to tell you, but if you put another energy onto that Teal Mask Ogre, it actually hits for 180. And that will KO Mew.
Yes, that's one way. We actually see a Regidrago here in play now as well with the Prime Catcher drawn off. And of course, we still have access to the V-Star power on Nina's side, which can give us more access to more cards, both from the top 7 deck cards and the discard pile. This is why you will see Regidrago V-Star players checking their discard pile so often.
Nina could win next turn. If Nina KOs Mew with your Teal Mask Ogre this turn, then next turn she can just gust up the Squawkabilly, use Dragapult's attack to KO the Teal Mask Ogre, and after a truly horrendous start, and her hand still isn't great, let's be honest, Nina could actually win next turn.
And there's the attack, and there's the first knockout in this round. Who would have thought that Ogre Teal Pass with a fire energy and 4 grass will take the first knockout in this mirror here? It's really interesting. Let's check the hand from James. Does he have any way to draw into any potential grass energy here? I don't really see it. So there's the Iono, and we have to draw more cards into deck. V-Star power already used not to its like fullest potential here, and it just puts James a little bit back, or let him fall back in this game. And Nina, despite a very slow start, is suddenly in the driver's seat.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. I believe she had the Prime Catcher in hand before that Iono, which is a little upsetting. But we see an energy onto the Teal Mask Ogre, drawing an extra card. James now has Prime Catcher in hand, but you kind of want to KO the Teal Mask Ogre. But like I've said, the attack you want to use on Dragapult doesn't actually work here. Well, I mean, it works, but it doesn't KO the Teal Mask Ogre.
Yeah, you would have to find another attacker, actually.
You need the Giratina.
Yeah, and we see plenty of energy, but I don't see any energy switch. There's a second Teal Mask used for another card off the deck. Is that potentially the energy switch?
It's an energy. Again, there is one energy switch in hand.
Wait,
are we going to see an attack? Whoa. Right, Nina has only attacked with Teal Mask Ogre so far. It looks like James is going, you know what, I like that plan. I'm going to attack. And remember, it's 30 for each energy on both Teal Mask Ogre, so that will get a KO. Don't make me, okay, fine. 270, it was plenty enough. So
that was an amazing. I mean, we said there's a Regidrago mirror, but actually it seems like it's an Ogre Teal Mask mirror based on these attacks we've seen so far. One problem, despite having 2 Regidrago V-Star in play here, there's no Ogre Teal Mask, so you would have to find 2 of them, then attach 2 grass energy, find 2 energy switch on top of that as well. It's a lot to ask for, but there's a research, and we still have the V-Star power, so yes, there's quite a potential for this turn to work out.
What we really need here is energy for turn, Teal Mask Ogre, grass energy, energy switch, gusting. Oh no, you wouldn't even need to gust. Yes, you would take 4 prizes. No, you wouldn't. Yes, you would. No, I've decided, Barish, you would need gusting. I've had a good think. You definitely do.
Okay. The only problem is Prime Catcher, I think, was sent to the bottom of the deck.
It was.
Professor Research was already used. No access to boss, and you're not behind on prizes either. So it's actually 4-4 on prize at the moment. Counter Catcher, if that was played in the deck, is not an option either. So it's going to be hard to get that Gustum effect. And I think that KO on Nina's Ogre was so huge. All the energy was off the board, and you don't have any Ogre Teal Mask left at the moment. It's really hard to get access to those. So the game is literally going back and forth through these Ogre Teal Mask attacks.
There is an option here where Nina could just go Teal Mask. You could do it with Teal Mask Ogre, but it's asking a lot. You need 2 Teal Mask Ogre, 3 grass energy and an energy switch, and that would actually get the KO here. But again, we're asking a lot. I feel like we might see the V-Star power coming down this turn.
I think it's a Super Rod eyeing out.
Yes,
that's been played, so that's going back into the deck. So you can't actually get it through the V-Star power, which is interesting. Maybe the sequencing, I mean, surely Nina is there for a reason. She will know why she's sequencing this way.
What's she doing right now?
Super Rod, 2 Grass Energy.
Yeah, but what's she doing? What's she literally doing?
Shuffling the deck to get the Prime Catcher back.
She's getting the Prime Catcher. Now it's randomized in the deck. It was definitely at the bottom. Now it could be anywhere in the deck. Now you can use that V-Star power. Now I think she needed those cards in the deck. I'm just saying that was a very nice bonus.
Absolutely, and you're right, because if you use the V-Star power and you want to, the Prime Catcher, you would only have one more possible target. So you rather want to have it in deck, but it's just an attack to draw up to 7 cards from the Cleffer.
Yeah, I kind of like this, honestly. This is absolutely fine by me. I don't see James taking 4 prizes this turn. And Nina said, look, I've got my V-Star power ready to go. I've got a Hoot Hoot benched, which can go into a, into a Knockdown next turn. Now, you would need, obviously, a Teal Mask Ogopon, but you shuffle one of them back in. There is a possibility next turn where Nina could even potentially go Pheasant Dipty, although that might, I think, still be prized. But, she could have a big turn next turn. She needs one big combo to win. James isn't winning this turn. She's just going, I'm going to draw to 7 with Cleffer. Next turn, I've got more options. Let's do it next turn.
It makes me wonder if Triforce is an option here. I think it will be discarded. 110 would pick up the Cleffer and the Hoot Hoot for 2 prizes and set up any of the other remaining Pokemon up for an KO afterwards. You might want to shift 110 to one of the Regidrago V-Stars, potentially the one with the Fire Energy, because it's more likely to become active, and then it would be an easier pick out in the end of the battle. But yes, I think Nina said, hey, if I get the tools, I have my 4 prize turn set up. I have the Squawkabilly, I have the damaged Ogopon Teal Mask, so I'm happy to give up 1 turn, potentially 2 prizes, but then if I get all my pieces, I'm ready to finish off this game.
Yeah, I think James might be going for the Trifrost this turn, or maybe not, going for the Regidrago with the energy. I like going for the Trifrost to get rid of the Hoot Hoot, because that could be a real issue for you next turn. James, instead, it looks like is actually going for the Giratina attack, doing 280, taking a 2 prize knockout, and Trifrost will still win the game next turn as it stands, or you could just do this again. And yeah, James has got plenty of options here. It really does look like James will win next turn. Yeah. I don't think that's the issue. The issue is whether Nina can win this turn. She needs an attacking Regidrago, and she needs Gusting. That is it. That is the goal.
Yeah, now the Fire Energy is also gone, so you need access to 3 energies. So which, once again, oh, we have both the Ogopon Teal Mask now already, at least. That's a good start for sure. But we'll need access to a Fire Energy, 2 Grass, and 2 energy switch as well. Again, it's 1 step more than we needed before, on top of that Gusting effect, which isn't necessarily easy to get all these pieces together, especially with that Pheasantipity price, if that was correct.
Yeah, the Pheasantipity not being available is a real pain. I assume it's still prized. It could have been taken, but I haven't seen it be taken. So if you don't have Pheasantipity, in theory, you should have a couple of draws off your Teal Mask Ogopon. You should have a couple of cards off of your Knockdown. You should have 3 cards off of, or 2 cards, sorry, off of your Regidrago V-Star. So we have options here. We are going to be getting a bunch of cards, and sometimes they're going to be cards we are specifically selecting, but it is quite a lot. And Nina did have, I wonder if there's any way we could have a quick look at Nina's prizes, see what's still in there, because that is becoming quite relevant.
Yeah, so I think both the Ogopon will hit the bench here, will give you access to those double ability uses to get 2 Grass Energy once you have them in hand. We have an Ultra Ball, which I really like to get that Noctowl, and which that actually allows you to pick up 2 pieces. That could be the Prime Catcher anywhere out of the deck, and you no longer rely on picking that up, right? And on top of that, we can also still use the V-Star ability, kept all the way to the end of the game when you actually need it. I'm not sure how many energy switch have hit the discard pile, but that could be an easy way to get 2 energy switches from your discard pile into your hand. Let's check the Grass Energy count. I see 1, 2, 3, 4 in your discard pile.
Okay, right, here's a look at her prizes. So 1 energy switch has been liberated. Pheasantipity has not been liberated. Oh, and her only Knockdown is prized.
Oh.
So she doesn't have access to Knockdown. She doesn't have access to Pheasantipity. There's no Hisuian Heavy Ball in her deck. She does have access to 3 energy switch, because I don't think she's actually used any, but even if she has, she can get them back with Regidrago. But not having access to Knockdown or Pheasantipity is huge, because that would be an extra 5 cards, 2 of which you pick out yourself.
Yeah, that's actually huge. I mean, she set up the Hoot Hoot there to potentially go into Knockdown. She played and failed that Ultra Ball because there was no target. We see 7 cards being discarded here. Ooh, 3 more Grass Energy. That's That's huge. I'm not sure. I think we saw one Super Rod earlier, and I would have to look if there's a second Super Rod available in the deck list. But discarding those 3 grass energies so late in the game, 2 more already. I think all of them are in the discard pile.
I counted at least 7, and I counted at least 6, and she plays 7 in the deck.
Yeah, that's 6 in the discard pile.
Yeah, so there's only 1 grass energy. We know it's not prized. We just saw the prizes. But honestly, at this stage, having your Knocked Owl prized, you're one of, and having your Pheasant Dipty prized, that Knocked Owl wasn't that relevant early in the game, but it has become very relevant. And here's the thing, Nina has played this game phenomenally. She's played it beautifully, but she's just not had what she needs. No Regidrago turn 1. Now, we do see I feel like grass energy, so we are going to see an earthen vessel here, getting a grass energy and a fire energy. So we need 1 more energy, 2 energy switch, and a gusting. I don't think we've seen a supporter yet. I
don't think we've seen a supporter yet, at least not confirmed by production either. So yeah, there's the fire energy and 1 grass energy. I think these were the last 2 energies off the deck, if I was correct. So we'll have to find a way to get another grass energy off the discard pile.
Okay, no, there's 2 grass energy in hand now, plus the fire.
Okay, okay.
So we got all 3 energy, we're drawing 2. That is a nest ball, that doesn't help at all. We've got a full bench. That is a switch, that doesn't help. We've got a free retreat Pokemon in the active. Both of those cards did not help. We've actually got Boss's Orders sitting there in hand, ready to go. If we had Knocked Owl, we could just search for 2 energy switch and the game would be Nina's. We don't have Knocked Owl. Switch into the active. We're literally just thinning out the deck at this point. But, oh, this is heartbreaking. So Nina has to hit Prime Catcher now. Boss's Orders is no longer an option. Supporter has been played. That was really just energy switch.
Another energy switch.
Oh, no Prime Catcher.
Wait. No, she needs 4 prize turns. The 2 prize turn is not enough. I mean, it's the best you can do. You can still take out the opposing. Restart there, 1 more card. It just wasn't.
How much energy does she have remaining? If she lost zones 2 energy this turn, does she have enough energy to mount an attack next turn?
I don't think so. I mean, we saw 1 Super Rod being played. I see it's 2 in her list. I'm not sure if the second one already hit the discard pile. That would be one way to get some energy back into play here. But yeah, it's a really tough decision. Double checking both your own and your opponent's discard pile. Yeah, take the knockout on the active, lose 2 energy, not being able to attack afterwards. Well, I mean, is there anything out of the prizes that we could get? I think there was another energy switch. Doesn't really help.
Energy switch, Knocked Owl, Pheasant Dipty. They're all cards that would have been really good this turn.
You're playing the Radiant Charizard. However, the problem is that your bench is currently full. Right?
And if you give up a KO, unless it's, well, yeah, there's no way James is giving you a bench space at this point. James has been playing this game for too long. He's too good at the game. He is not liberating a bench space for you without winning the game.
Absolutely. So you had to play them both down to get the grass energies into play, but you locked yourself out of a potential Radiant Charizard because discard the 2 grass energy would be one play, energy switch your fire energy onto Charizard, and then you would have another attack ready. The problem is your bench is full.
Yeah, and that is a gigantic problem. Yeah, I mean, look, the taking the 2 prizes here really isn't an issue, and it's the following prizes, and we're retreating into Cleffa. I don't like this for Nina. I feel like doing this is probably going to end up losing you the game. One of the reasons I like taking a KO is at least you make James have an energy and an energy switch, and I know he's got 3 in the discard pile. So he would have to have his final energy switch and an energy in order to attack next turn if you take the KO. But Nina can't attack if it literally leaves her unable to attack for the rest of the game.
That's true, and Clef at least lets you draw up to 7 cards. There's the Super Rod that gives you energies back, an energy switch, and the Earthen Vessel. They're all the pieces you would need. Get the energy back in your deck. Earthen Vessel gets them out. You would have even more energies available next turn. The question is...
And she's actually just drawn into the Giratina, and she only plays 1 in her list. So the Giratina actually hasn't hit the discard yet. That wasn't an option as an attack, even if she thought she had enough energy, and it really does feel like the game has swung back to James here.
But I think I see Professor's research in hand. That would also mean that you don't have a gusting effect with the boss because the Prime Catcher is already in your discard pile.
Oh, so, this could...
Wait, he's down to 2 prizes. Trifrost will just take out...
Trifrost will win the game, yes. Trifrost will take out the Cleffa and the Hoot Toot. They will be James' final 2 prizes.
So we need a grass energy for game here, right?
I think we need a grass energy for game here, Barish. No, no.
Fire.
Yes, there we go. Trifrost onto the Cleffa and the Hoot Toot, and that will be game 1 for James. This is why I said on the previous turn, James was winning that turn. There was just too many. He could have hit his last energy switch, and that also would have been the game. He was too close. Nina had that one turn, and she was so close. Here we see a little bit of a replay here, and we see that there in game 1, we actually had Nina take the first prizes with her Teal Mask Ogerpon.
Yeah, and most interestingly enough, she took the top 2 prize instead of the bottom 2, and the bottom 2 were Fezandipity and Noctowl.
Yeah, that's
obviously is a random order, and like Nina had no idea, but like if she was taken from the bottom, that would have completely changed the outcome of the game, and James was able to take knockout after knockout, and eventually with that Triforce closing that game, we said how crucial that Triforce can be, especially towards the end of the game, because you have this high energy cost of, or have the effect of like having to discard all your energies, and we see here towards the end of the game it doesn't matter anymore because you take the win at that point.
Yeah, James takes game 1. Nina on the ropes here, needs to win game 2 and game 3 to carry on into the top 8 of the Lille Regional Championships. Of course, she had a phenomenal finish a couple of weeks ago in Dortmund, finishing 18th. She will finish at least 9th place in Lille here, and I'm sorry, but I need someone to show me if we can find a better player who has done, you know, better in their first 2 regionals in the Masters division, aging up and having those 2 results back to back. If anyone out there can give me a player who's done better in their first 2 Masters regionals, I would love to know who that is. Right now, we see both players drawing up their cards for game 2. The good news is Nina gets to go first. The bad news is if there is a game 3, James will be going first.
Yeah, at least we see a good opening hand here with the Regidrago and the Teal Mask both ready. There's grass energy, gives you more access as well. So it's a better setup. It's like you go first and you actually get to go first, if that makes sense. So putting down the prizes, let's have a look at what is priced for both of these players. Nina has 2 grass energy, 1 energy switch.
And the only Kyurem.
And the only Kyurem, correct. I couldn't quite catch the prize from James, but we're already jumping into the next game, so let's look into that. A nest ball being played. We already have 2 of the most crucial pieces of the puzzle on the board here, and Nina once again a very quick deck search going through the cards.
And it looks like we are just having a look at which cards are there. We see the Noctowl. She is about to find out that unfortunately that Kyurem is prized, which, like I say, there is an option here for just try and get 2 quick Trifrost to try and win the game. That is no longer an option. And in the late game, well, we saw it in the top of the... She did take from the top of the prizes last time, so maybe that will be an option. Certainly, Dragapult is your general attack here. And we saw in the end of that game, both players running very low on energy and very low on options in that regard. It's one of the reasons why Dragapult is so good. It doesn't make you discard all lost zone energy, whereas things like Kyurem and Giratina do.
Yeah, that's another reason why attacking with Ogerpon Teal Mask is so inefficient, because it costs so much energy, and once it gets knocked out, they're all gone, and you kind of lose both a Pokemon that helps accelerate energies and the energies are gone. And there was like, I think, 4 or 5 energy on Nina's Ogerpon Teal Mask in the last game, and they were all just hitting the discard pile, and that's quite a lot of energies gone and not being used by the Regidrago. One interesting part is you might be thinking, hey, surely Nina knew that her Noctowl was priced, so why did she bench the Hoot Hoot? And sometimes benching a Pokemon and letting your opponent believe that you have the option can be so crucial, and threw them off or have them to go for other game plans that they didn't expect. And I think there was a Prime Catcher to get the Hoot Hoot.
Yep, Prime Catcher to bring the Hoot Toot active. If you think you've got a way to KO this, I don't mind this too much. To be fair, Hoot Toot does not have free retreat, so what you're saying to Nina is, you know, you need a switching option, and you need an energy, and you need an energy, and you need an energy switch. And Regidrago decks, they don't play many switching cards. Nina's playing 1 copy of Switch, 1 copy of Prime Catcher, that's it. So Jane's basically saying, I know this deck as well as you do. I don't want you to have the first attack. I am willing to give up my Prime Catcher to try and make sure you don't. And of course, remember, sometimes if you don't need other stuff desperately, you can get it back with your V-Star power.
Absolutely, and it might also be a case where he doesn't quite like his opening hand and might have to discard it with either research or maybe a Squawkabilly. So you might say, before I discard my Prime Catcher, I might as well use it on a Hoot, even though that might not look like the most efficient, but you've perfectly explained how that just requires him one extra piece, or her more so, in the next turn. Yeah, I'm really interested. There's a Nest Ball for the Regidrago. Ogerpon Teal Mask in hand. Fire Energy attached and a Professor's Research. There we go.
Yeah, so you're right. That Prime Catcher wasn't staying around anyway. Got a decent amount of use out of it. Not perfect, but it can always come back. We got Pheasantipity in hand, which can always be fun. We got another Regidrago. We got Earthen Vessel to go and grab a Grass Energy. We know we like this Grass Energy in this deck.
I guess because there's already one Fire Energy in play, there's no reason to grab the classic combo of Fire and Grass in your first turn. Fire already attached, get 2 Grass, you can attach 1 this turn, and you already have a second one to use that in the next turn for any of your targets. So that is great. Earthen Vessel, just such a stable card and gives you so much flexibility in almost any deck at the moment.
Yeah, it really does. We attach to Teal Mask, we get to draw an extra card.
And it looks like the turn is not quite over yet. There's an Ultra Ball being played. Pheasantipity and Fire Energy hitting the discard pile. Let's see if that is a Squawkabilly to extend your turn even further, or if you get a second, or it's actually the Cleffer. So potentially retreating the Mew and attacking with the Cleffer to draw up to 7 cards. Set yourself up perfectly for the next turn, especially with how low the hand card is at the moment. Love the hand shuffles from the players, which gives us, typically from the right angle, a perfect view of what they currently have in hand. Drawing up to 7 cards and giving over to Nina. Let's see what Nina can do out of this turn. I think I see the Prime Catcher to reverse the play.
We do have that Prime Catcher, so the real question here for Nina is, can she set up an attacking Regidrago? There's a V-Star. You need Fire Energy, Energy Switch. Those 2 cards will be perfect. Noctowl is actually on board right now, and I'm not saying this is the perfect time to use it, but I am saying basically from now until the end of the game, or when Hoot gets knocked out or evolves, it is an option. Oh, I love that. That artwork of Regidrago. That's a little Lugia hiding near the top of that card. The other deck that's doing very well this weekend. So, you know, loving the bling there on Nina's deck.
Absolutely. Getting a second Regidrago on the bench here to make sure that in following turns, I still have the option to evolve. Depending on when you use your V-Star ability, having just a V-Star in play is great. And I think we'll see, okay, Temple of Sinnoh, not really coming into effect here because there's no special energies, but this is another, like, part of thinning out your deck. I don't want this back in my deck. I might as well play it. Not that it really matters, but it's out there.
Yeah, this card's not doing anything for me. I want rid of it. We bring up a Teal Mask Ogerpon into the active. We play a Professor's Research for a new hand of 7 cards. Bunch of supporters, 1 Grass Energy, no Fire Energy that I saw initially.
Nope, no Fire Energy either. So, but we have the Ultra Ball. We have the Noctowl ready, and that could get us out an Earthen Vessel for 2 energies. Is that correct?
It is correct. She does play 3 copies of Earthen Vessel, so that is absolutely an option. And then it would get any other trainer she wanted as well. Would potentially get the Energy Switch. So there is the Noctowl. I'm assuming Earthen Vessel Energy Switch, unless she has Energy Switch in hand already.
I don't think I saw that active in hand, so yeah, that's the perfect combination. She would have to discard one of her hand cards to activate that Earthen Vessel. It's actually an Ultra Ball she's eyeing. Grass Energy. No, I don't see an Energy Switch. What could a second Ultra Ball, or what could an Ultra Ball get here? I guess you could discard your hand even further and then get a Mew potentially.
You could.
To restart for free, but I think Earthen Vessel into Energy Switch, and that's what we're seeing here right now.
That makes a lot more sense. They're the 2 cards I'm expecting to see here, because they're the 2 cards that allow Nina to get an attack off. Now, I'm telling you right now, Barish, this is a situation where I actually would love to try Frost, because KOing a Teal Mask Ogerpon is sneaky super annoying. Because you basically have to use Giratina's attack, which I don't love doing. I would much rather try Frost here. The Mew is then almost KO'd. The Teal Mask Ogerpon is almost KO'd. The Cleffer is KO'd. And then both the Regidrago have to evolve, or you can literally win next turn with enough energy, bits, and pieces. But of course, Kyurem is prized. That is not an option. It will not be happening. There's the Energy Switch. There's the V-Star Power. So we're going to discard the top 7 cards of our deck and get any 2 cards from our discard pile back into our hand.
My question right now is which Dragon Pokemon have hit the discard pile so far? And I don't think I see any. I mean, there's a Regidrago V, but that's not really helpful.
No, and that is off.
There was the Giratina, of course, but that is heavy on prizes with price cost with like 2 energy that you would have to discard.
Lost Zone even.
Yep.
So it's yeah, you're right, and that may be why she went for the earlier V-Star power here, hoping to hit some of those dragon Pokemon. So we do just see there that it is the Giratina attack. It had to be. You've got to take those prizes, but yeah, unfortunately, no other options available. But you still do get the first 2 prize KO, and that is huge in the mirror match.
Absolutely. Going ahead here, taking the first 2 prizes, saying, hey, James, if you don't start taking prizes, I have the first 2 already in hand here, and I will keep trying to go for the second one. I mean, there might have been a reason why she was eyeing at the Ultra Ball earlier from that Noctowl, because it would have allowed to get you a Dragon Pokemon that you can then discard with your Earthen Vessel. However, you would then be missing the energy switch and not be able to attack in the first place. So
well,
I think
it would have forced you to get the energy switch off the V-Star power, and you don't really want to go in, because then let's say you discard 3 of them out of the top 7 cards. Well, then all of a sudden you're really, you get 2 of them back, but then you can't get any other card in your discard, and you don't want to have to get a particular card like that.
Let's see what we get out of this V-Star power. We were just talking about it, and James was like, hey, I have my own V-Star power to use as well. 7 cards hitting the discard pile as Super Rod. So I guess he didn't quite like what has hit the discard pile at this point. I see 2 Ogerpon. You might want to get some of them back into play, and I see quite a lot of energy there as well. So double Super Rod. Oh my God.
Yeah, that's this is generally not what you're hoping for when you use that V-Star power. You get your Regidrago, use your Legacy Star. You are hoping for, I'm going to get a second, use the Prime Catcher, I'm going to get a 5th energy switch. It is not generally what you're looking for here, but look, if that's what you need to do, that's what you need to do. So the good news is we do have the Ogerpon, the Pheasant Dipty, the basic Grass Energy. These are cards you are going to need. Yeah,
there's some of the tools, and I think this is the story of the game so far from James at least. He has won the first game, absolutely correct, but both his V-Star powers came down to taking cards that you wouldn't usually want to use there. So even here, the Super Rod, the double Super Rod is typically not a classic V-Star combination you would get out of your discard pile. And Nina's like, oh, let me have a look what is actually in your discard pile. What was that Super Rod about? And yeah, you see the remaining energy and the remaining Pokemon. Yeah, through the combination of Super Rod and the Nest Ball, you get at least 1 of your Ogerpon Tiamas back into play. And of course, looking at the board state from James at the moment, he only has 1 Fire Energy attached, so he would need 2 Ogerpon, or at least I think the Fire Energy was already there at the beginning of the turn. He didn't attach for turn yet. So yes, he would need 1 Ogerpon, 1 Energy Switch, and 1 extra Grass Energy in hand.
Yeah, and he does have an energy switch in hand, I believe. So we get an Ultra Ball coming down here. That is going to go and grab a Giratina, which, of course, is going to hit the discard. And right now, that is the attacker that you want, because it's not just taking 2 prizes and keeping up with the prize race. Nina just lost 2 energy for using her own attack. But if you can get rid of the fire as well, then that forces Nina to completely reset. Fire, 2 grass, another Teal Mass, 2 energy switch, really saying you've got to have the maximum possible combo. So, oh, Radiant Charizard apparently was in the... No, it's in the...
It's in the discard
pile. Yeah, it was
pile
in the discard, so you really want to get that back as well, because that is a great way to take those last couple of prizes off a Teal Mask Ogerpon or something like that.
Yeah, we haven't really talked about the Radiant Charizard too much here. Its ability basically allows you to attack up to, like, down to 1 Fire Energy if your opponent has taken 4 or more prize cuts already. So that can be huge towards the end of the game when your opponent has taken 2 knockouts, 4 prizes, and you can attach a single Fire Energy and get 250 damage with Combustion Blast. That is huge finisher, as you have just mentioned.
Yeah, it really does help nice with those last couple of prizes. Here comes the Regidrago into the active with the requisite energy. And of course, with Giratina having hit the discard pile, we know what's happening here. 280 damage, Lost Zone 2 energy attached to your Pokemon, and Regidrago goes down. Good news for Nina, she has a Regidrago V. That's the only thing she couldn't get this turn, but she needs a V-Star. Fire Energy, Grass Energy, second Teal Mask Ogerpon, second Grass Energy, 2 energy switch. Possible.
Absolutely
awkward.
possible. Awkward for sure. I see 3 or 2 more Grass Energy in hand. 1 is already attached. Of course, you can't attach Grass Energy for turn, because you then won't have an option to get the Fire Energy, because the only way you can get extra energies is through the Ogerpon. Ogerpon only accepts Grass Energies as a tribute, I might want to say here. But yeah, so the Cologne won't really make an impact here either, taking away the ability, but that doesn't come into effect. So the question is, discarding 2 more grass energies and an energy switch apparently in hand here as well, if you want to use that research. Looks like, yeah, Prime Catcher as well. That's not really a card, but it is being used. So let's see what has been targeted here and what you actually switch into yourself, because, well, it's going to be difficult to go back into your Regidrago if you don't have another pivoting tool like a switch, for example.
It depends if you think you're getting an attack off. If you don't think you're getting an attack off, you can put the knockdown active and just be like, you know what? I saw you use your Prime Catcher. I saw you not take it back with your V-Star power. And I know you only play 1 or 2 bosses orders, 2 here. So I'm liking my chances. And essentially, Nina might be going for a reset turn here. Having to use 2 energy switch every turn to set up an attacker is not sustainable. Okay, and now that we've had a grass energy attached to it, oh no, that was an energy switch. Okay.
Energy switch from the Ogerpon to the Regidrago here. So 1 part's already done. We still need a second Ogerpon. There's a Super Rod that isn't really helpful, and
that is, you got Super Rod, and you got Jamming Tower, Radiant, Charizard, and Squawkabilly. Not a hand of cards that are going to do much for you at this point in the game, Barish. So yeah. I do think this might end up being a bit of a reset turn here. We do get the Super Rod being played, but with the V-Star power having already been used and the grass energy attached, it does feel like, well, no fire energy ready to go, I mean. It does feel like maybe, look, next turn you at least only need 1 energy switch.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. And I feel like Lost Impact actually has such a huge impact in this game because both players had to use it, had to discard, or even lost zone 2 energies here. So they were both in an awkward situation where their Regidrago V-Star is only left with 1 energy. Interestingly enough, James has chosen to keep the grass energy and discard the fire.
He has indeed. Fire energy is in the lost zone from that Giratina's attack. And I think what you're saying to me is the impact of Giratina's attack was not lost on you. Nailed it. So we do see an Ultra Ball coming down here, getting rid of Pheasantipity, actually, and Teal Mask Ogerpon to go and... What are we going to be? Is it? Okay, to go and grab a Hoot Hoot. That gives an option for Knockdown next turn. And we're kind of in that awkward situation where both players have used quite a lot of resources, taken 1 KO each, and now they're sitting around being like, well, I don't have what I need right now.
Yeah, it's really difficult. And also whoever takes the next knockout, especially, I mean, Nina's currently very vulnerable here with the single lone Regidrago V on the bench. If that goes down, she has no option to evolve anytime soon. And that would throw her really back in this game. So James, however, would have to pull off a miracle here. I don't think, I mean, it's a statement here at the moment with the extra Hoot Hoot. Yeah, just passing over back to Nina.
Yeah, with Hoot having just been benched, Pheasantipity in the discard pile, and James has played both his Super Rods, so that Pheasantipty's done. Like, I'm pretty sure that Pheasantipity is not coming back anytime soon, by which I mean for the rest of this game. So it left James with limited draw options, so could not mount an attack. And now we're back to Nina, and the question is, what can you do? And again, you see Teal Mask Ogerpon in the active, because that's a really annoying Pokemon to KO. Forces you to use the Giratina attack, and look, you don't mind using Giratina's attack to KO a Regidrago V-Star.
Did you see that turn? It was a single Ultra Ball, grabbed the Pheasantipity, empty hand, nothing else to do, and it's just back and forth here at this point. Draw a card as the Regidrago can't use, and back, and it's going back and forth quite literally. Okay, you get 2 energies now.
While you were talking there, Nina and James had 2 turns each. And now Nina's into another turn. And that wasn't a comment on you, sir. Yeah. You were not talking for very long. They were incredibly quick turns.
This gives you 1 extra card off your deck through that Ogerpon. It is a boss's order, but checking the discard pile again. I mean, probably see the fire energy attached and going straight back. What is James looking for before he actually goes back into action? There's an Iono, but do you want to give your opponent 4 cards when they're currently down to a single card?
I don't, it's awkward. The problem with Iono is if you hold off for too long, your opponent draws out of it and you have regrets. And I've done that more than once. I'm not playing it, you've drawn nothing, and then they draw a Professor's Research.
There's an Ultra Ball,
speaking of which, she has drawn a Professor's Research, I believe.
I think so too, yeah. And with the Ultra Ball, you would get the Regidrago V-Star, but you still have a Noctowl kind of locked in the active position. At this point, both have not only used a lot of resources, but also both their V-Star power, so that won't be an option here. I see a switch in, an energy switch and a switch in hand, so that could come in handy, but...
There's the switch.
Yeah, now my question is, why was the fire energy discarded earlier on? But I guess you can always retreat into Cleffa and draw up to 7 cards and you set yourself up there. That's exactly what we're seeing.
Yeah, James doesn't really want to KO the knockdown right now because it doesn't help his prize map with no other single prizes on Nina's board, and it would activate Fezandipiti to give Nina 3 extra cards. So that is not what you want to do. Here we go. Now, you can now manually attach to the knockdown and then retreat, because I believe it has a 1 retreat cost. Yes, it does.
Yep.
So you can energy switch, energy onto knockdown, and then you can actually get an attack roll in here. Problem is, you don't want to KO. Now, the good news is there's at least a Hoot down, so your prize map can then go through like a knockdown. But ideally here, if you KO the Cleffa, it's 3 damage counters and Dragapult's attack, that'll do fine. You don't really want to use an actual attack here, and that's what James is betting on. James is saying, you know what, Nina, I don't think you're going to KO this Cleffa because it doesn't really help you very much.
Yeah, oh, and there's another Professor's Research, an energy switch in hand, and we might actually, I think your play was perfectly fine, attached to the active retreat, but then do you want to take a knockout? At least, you only bear in mind here, James doesn't have a Fezandipiti. It is in the discard pile, not on the bench. Nina earlier was saying, hey, I'm happy to discard my whole hand for a great Ultra Ball and get that Fezandipiti ready. So if you were to take a knockout, I would have extra drawing power there. We see a manual attachment to Regidrago, so a little bit of a slower turn here. And see, a boss's order, actually. It was a boss's order all along.
Oh, it was
so what are we bossing up is the question here. Then we can always... Okay, we can...
Okay, so that means we're not KOing here. If you're going to KO, you go after the one that's got energy attached. So that is just an, okay, yeah, you know what, your turn again. Nina doesn't have the Regidrago V-Star. She still hasn't got the V-Star. I don't believe she's got any access to it right now. So we KO we get rid of the Kyurem, sorry, with an Earthen Vessel. We got 30 minutes left, remember, on this top 16, this asymmetrical top cup. We have a much longer, we got 17 minutes, so we're not worried about
actually.
time. Pardon?
75 even though.
5 minutes.
Yep.
We are not worried about time here. We got plenty of time to finish out of game 3. We are going to have an actual result here. The question is, we've reached a real stalemate in this game. Who's going to break it?
Yeah, exactly. We see the Earthen Vessel for the infamous grass-fire combination. Fire probably hitting one of the Regidragos. But before all of that, you always want to attach your grass to Ogerpon first to get an extra card off the deck, which might enable even more options. So let's see the top deck here off that Ogerpon. It is...
Radiant Charizard. Which... Yeah, it's way too expensive right now. It'd be a great option for taking out, say, the Knockdown, but not at this point in the game. Speaking of Knockdown, James plays Knockdown, goes to search out any 2 cards. He's only got 6 cards left in his deck, you know.
Yeah, it's very thin. We talked about the stalemate or currently like standing out each other, and I mean, you don't have to, especially with these...
He's only literally got 2 trainers in his deck. The only other option was Nespal. Carry on.
Yeah, sorry, I was going to say, like, with how fast these decks are running through their resources, it's not uncommon that you suddenly only have 5 cards left in your deck and still 4 prizes to take.
Right, so there's a fire energy. Double energy switch. Oh, it's happening now, Barish. We're getting an attack. It is going to happen.
Do we have a Gust, though, as well? Something to pull another active Pokemon, because you might not want to take the knockout on the Noctowl, but I think that's the only option we have.
The only good news here is if you do set the KO on the knockdown, oh, there we go. It is a boss's order onto the Regidrago, which is absolutely huge because now we can KO all of the energy. We KO the only Regidrago. There will be no V-Star next turn. That is the only really good attacker to which Nina had access. She's lost her Regidrago. She's lost her energy. And this is a very bad position for Nina to come back from here. And she's having a look through James's discard, but I feel like we've just seen the pivotal moment in the game here, Barish.
Absolutely, that might be one of the places we'll see in the replays if this might be the last game here, but absolutely crucial. Nina was maybe waiting just a little bit too long here, and James is very comfortable in the stalemate position. With the Noctowl ready, you can just search out any 2 trainers, and like if the boss wasn't in deck, then it was in hand, and this late in game, if you have 2 more trainers, you can exactly get the puzzle of double energy switch. And now, even with the Fezandipiti, it's really hard to come back. You have no Drago V-Star, and I don't think the Ogerpon Tearmask will get anywhere close to enough energy to take a knockout here.
No, you need, unfortunately, 9 combined energy. There's 2 on Regidrago. You would need 7. That is not happening. And the thing is, James has set up his board perfectly here. James just needs a grass energy. literally a grass energy. If there's a single prizer in the active, he will need to get some gusting going on. But if there's a single prizer in the active, he can even just use Dragapulse attack to, you know, preserve the energy. And I just don't think Nina... Essentially, if she puts the Teal Mask Gogapon active, she will lose. If she doesn't, then James just keeps rolling along.
I think the switch was never actually used. James is very happy to just put another Regidrago Vista. We'll pull a card, and I think...
Do we have grass energy? We do. That's the wrong Pokemon, though. Are we attaching to the active here? Could we double energy switch?
I mean, there's another fire energy. We can maybe buy another turn. I think Nina's only option here is to make sure that James is running out of deck cards. So, yeah, there's one attachment and pass over. Yeah, I think
kind of like what James is doing here. James is saying, look, I don't care. I will set up very slowly my next Regidrago V-Star because I know how out of options you are. So energy switch with the boss's orders, which we know is in hand, will win the game here. Or switch in an energy. There's an energy. And I think James is just going to pass again here and go, okay, you tried gusting up Regidrago. That didn't work. Now what?
Yeah, I think I just want to see if the last card is a grass energy, so it's only a matter of next turn. If there's a pass, and there's another grass energy for turn back-to-back here for James to win. I think what has been one of the first times we feature a player back-to-back on stream here, not only in the last Swiss run, but also in Top Cut here. And I think it's only a matter of time until Nina has to see no options left, no other gust option left, I believe, in deck. And it's going to be a pass over, and that's going to be James's big turn here.
Yeah, there's an energy switch onto the Noctowl. We have to go. Oh, we could. Okay, that's game, because now we can just attach a grass energy to the active Regidrago. Boss's orders onto either of the bench Pokemon. There is the fist pump, and James Cox will be heading into the top 8 of the Lille Regional Championships. Back-to-back wins on stream. Neither of them were easy.